Hey, good morning. How y'all doing? It's Tino. Just coming with a video this morning. Friday thoughts. Getting some things off my mind, and thought maybe I'll make a video before I clean these pair of boots over here in the back. Man, there's been a lot going on in the earth, in the world, and people's lives and things of that nature. Just felt the need just to kind of speak to the camera this morning and offer some encouragement. You know, a lot of discouragement is going around right now, and sometimes it may be hard to see the way through to something, you know. And so, yeah, one of the things that as humans, we struggle with from time to time. It's just the idea of living life itself. Interesting concept about life. My wife had mentioned to me this morning, we were having a conversation, and she was like, we're so ever changing, or supposed to be ever changing as humans. How is it that we're so much creatures of habit, you know? And I replied with, I thought about it for a second before I replied, and I thought about it and I said, welcome. Welcome. Because that's part of the journey. It's part of the deal. We're supposed to be changing our minds, changing the way we do things. It's a new year, 2026, and we're here now. And the question is, what was the difference between yesterday and today, 2025 to 2026? What changed? Maybe the weather a little bit. As we go into new seasons, because that's what it is, we're still in a season. And when the season truly changes in the spring, all things become new. They grow, they come back, they're renewed. Well, that way has been that way since beginning of creation itself. So what we should consider, or ought to consider, is how do we renew in every season that we're in? Because we do have seasons in life. Renewing our minds to something greater, something more favorable as we live our lives, we change. We should not stay the same. The habits that we had before, we should consider, are these healthy habits or are these bad habits? A book I read a couple years back by a well-known author, he talks about these habits, and he talked about in his book how to deal with habits, so to say, how to recognize them, how to put them into these categories, and to how to put them into perspective of how we should look at habits. And he gives steps in how to deal with these habits. And he called them the atomic habits. I think the author, I don't think I knew his name was James Clear. Really good book, by the way. And I'm not promoting his stuff, I'm just saying for the sake of this conversation that his book had offered a lot of insight on habits. And, he talked about task stacking and all these different tactics. But the one thing I took away from that is that it always comes down to the same thing we always hear. What you do determines who you are. The more and more you create something as a habit, is the more and more you take upon that thing. So if the habit is not doing something, then that's the habit. Simple as that. But if you have a habit of doing something that's constructive, positive, um, it's an action-based thing, then that's what it is. You're taking upon that thing to be a habit. So where's the encouragement? Well, the encouragement is whatever you decide to put your hand to, do it well. And do it unto something that's greater than yourself. If it's service, if it's in love, if it's in a good deed to further along a cause, to further along a way of simply helping someone else and also yourself. Because in doing the thing, you should be able to transform your thinking to be renewed, your mind. Paul writes that in Corinthians. I think it's, the address is not coming to my mind right now. Actually, it's in Romans, not Corinthians. He talks about not to be conformed to the world, but to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Well, that's a lot there. But what I'm simply saying is the encouragement is to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So things that you did, consider why you do them or why you did them. And then transform the thought into something way more beneficial for the cause. So encourage each other today to do that, and encourage yourself to say, let me take upon another thought and see if this is really going to challenge me to do something greater, to be something greater, to become something greater. Because we have that ability. We have the capability to do that. And let's not fall prey to the same old habits, the same old things. You know, I don't want to sound like I'm ranting here. However, I do want to sound as a sounding board of encouragement. Just thoughts. Have a good one. Take care.